Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 7 starts off with Mitsuki's inner monologue, basically describing his relationship to Kawaki. Mitsuki is the moon, Kawaki is the sun. Because the sun shines brightly, the moon can shine brightly. It reflects off of the sun. The sun is something that Mitsuki really cares about. It's supposed to be his beaming light. It's allowing him to shine brightly. Mitsuki himself can't shine brightly, so he relies on his son. And his son, that he knows of since these last 3 years, has been Kawaki. But there's something kind of missing, you know what I mean? Does he truly believe all of his words? But then we cut to Boruto versus Mitsuki, and I could go into great detail about the jutsus that they use and about the fight that they have, but I think it's better for you just to watch it and read it yourself. But overall, all you need to know is Mitsuki attacks Boruto and Boruto dodges it easily. And Boruto basically questions, where's Kawaki? Isn't he the one who wants to kill me? Why isn't he here? And Mitsuki's kind of just like, I knew you would sense his presence. It's probably better for me to do it and to attack you. And then Shikamaru tells Boruto, Mitsuki's basically going rogue. He's doing this all on his own. He's not caring about what Kawaki wants or what he's doing. He kind of incapacitated him with the snake bite, with the snake venom, and now he's here confronting you because he has a personal vendetta against you for trying to kill Kawaki. And so Boruto's like, And Mitsuki basically says that if Boruto was strong enough to take on Code, and Code is stronger or could beat Kawaki, then it's probably best for Kawaki to stay out of it, you know what I mean? He isn't able to take on Boruto. And then Boruto says, by that logic, so are you, Mitsuki. You can't beat me. You know you can't. And then Mitsuki goes, shut up. And they start fighting again. And in which case, Boruto dodges some more, and then eventually he starts to get serious. He says, I don't have time for this, I have work to do. So then Boruto starts getting serious, destroying the snake clones. He starts fighting up close against Mitsuki. They both have a snake lightning and thunderbolt clash of their two lightning jutsus. And then Boruto gets real up close to Mitsuki with his sword, and is right there at his throat. And he could cut it off if he really wanted to. If he was the traitor he claims he is, you know what I mean? Or as everybody remembers. And Mitsuki's kind of like, what are you doing? Do it. And then Boruto starts to tell Mitsuki his doubts, his fears are kind of basically like, he knows Mitsuki. He says, you know that Kawaki isn't really your son, don't you? You're kind of hesitating. Something's missing and you know it, don't you? And Mitsuki's like, what are you talking about? And so Boruto explains that you rely on the sun to shine brightly, and you kind of have no idea where it is, but I do. And Mitsuki's like, what? I don't know what you're saying. And Boruto basically says, it's me, Mitsuki. I'm your son. I'm the one who's right here. And then Mitsuki's kind of like, yeah, right. And he wraps his a snake around Boruto like he did the first time, and he's about to bite Boruto, and Boruto just stands there ready to take it. And Mitsuki hesitates. He can't do it. And Boruto's like, if I'm not your son, why aren't you doing it? Huh? And Mitsuki's kind of hesitating. And Boruto again tells him, Kawaki isn't your son. You can feel it. Something's different these last 3 years. Kawaki ain't it. He's not your son. I am. And then Mitsuki's kind of like, oh no. Kind of like having this mental process, everything that he thought about Kawaki, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? And the same way that Shikamaru questions everything about it because Amado says his memories were messed up, or about switching their roles. You know what I mean? Mitsuki is missing something, and he knows that Kawaki isn't his real son. And Boruto is now bringing that to light. He's basically knows everything about Mitsuki and can kind of tell him that it's me. I'm your son. And so that's the cool part about that kind of relationship. When you know somebody and you're friends with somebody, as Boruto is with Mitsuki, he can kind of break him down or get into his head and make him realize Kawaki's not your son. It doesn't work with him, but it does with me. So then Boruto is kind of telling Mitsuki, he says, I know you feel like you can't shine on your own, but I do believe that you can be your own sun. You don't have to be the moon. You can shine brightly without me. But given the certain circumstances and the way that you feel, if you ever need me to be your son, you can find me anytime. And then they kind of split off or they leave. Shikamaru's kind of like, alright, Boruto, get somewhere secluded and one-on-one. We need to talk. and so Boruto kind of flies away or goes somewhere else. And that's when I think Mitsuki said something along the lines of like, why did you kill the 7th Hokage? He's still questioning Boruto. He's still not 100% sure. Like, even though Boruto said that he's his son, even though Boruto is kind of like understanding Mitsuki still doubts his memories and like, why did you kill the 7th Hokage? And Boruto has to reassure him that like, I didn't kill the 7th Hokage. He's alive somewhere, along with his wife. And I like how he almost says his mom, but he's like, his wife is safe there too. And so now questions are raised. Boruto says that he's his son and he can find him anytime, and he goes away. Shikamaru and him have a talk one-on-one. And at the same time, we cut to Kawaki waking up from a snake bite, being like, what the heck? And Ada's like, good, you're awake. You know what I mean? It's, you know, you're a little lightweight. You know what I mean? You can't take a little poison, but whatever. He wakes up and he's kind of like, where's Boruto? What's going on? And so then we cut to Shikamaru and Boruto kind of talking one-on-one to each other. And they basically discuss omnipotence. They talk about how Boruto explains to Shikamaru that the idea of omnipotence doesn't stick out in his brain. It's not something he'll remember. He's already been told about it by Sarada and Sumire and other people, but it just doesn't stick out in his brain. Over time, he will forget the concept of omnipotence. It's just the way that it is. There's no going back or reversing it or taking it away, so they're kind of stuck in that space. But the fact that that Shikamaru was able to like break out of it, even for a little bit, or to like deduce on his own that his memories have been faked or something is different, you know what I mean? He's able to like, he thinks it's a really cool feat. And so they basically discuss, well, if Kawaki switched you guys places, wouldn't it be like your incentive to like kill him and to take your spot back? And Boruto says, no, killing him's not going to change anything. It's just about beating him and having a dispute between two brothers and fighting and beating him and getting him to see reason, getting him to realize that what he's doing is wrong. And when I do that, he'll release Naruto and Hinata, and everything will kind of be back to the way it is. You know what I mean? It's a personal battle between the two of them. And so Shikamaru has to explain to Boruto that, well, if you're not going to stop Kawaki, if you're not going to kill him, and if he's still going to be doing what he's doing, and you're going to try to like help us out, I can't exactly turn on Kawaki. I don't want him to feel like we figured it out. So everything's going to stay the same. You're still going to be an outlaw, a fugitive. Everybody's going to believe you killed the 7th Hokage. Is that okay for you? And Boruto's kind of like, yeah, I didn't feel like, I was going off the assumption that that was how I was going to move forward anyways, you know? So then we get a cut to the Shinju, the main Shinju, the one that was up in the sky. We basically see him reading, and he's basically explaining how the more and more he reads, the more and more he learns, the more question he gets, the more he's just like questioning the world and reality and what's going on. And so I think that eventually he's kind of enough with the reading. There's only one thing that's going to help me answer some questions, and that's if we go direct contact with the thing that I want. Let's go have a talk with Naruto Uzumaki. And that's where the chapter ends. And I think that this chapter was really fun. I think it was just cool to see Boruto and Mitsuki kind of have this confrontation. I like that Boruto was able to sense or to like have that conversation with Mitsuki, whereas like, Kawaki's not your son. You can feel it. I know you can feel it. It doesn't work the same way it does, before the last 3 years. You know what I mean? It's difficult to explain, but he's not it. I'm it. I like that. I like the discourse that Shikamaru and Boruto have with one another. I kind of like how Boruto stays firm in his resolve to like to fight this out brother to brother with Kawaki and not resort to killing him. He kind of feels like, Kawaki is somebody that he cares about and is somebody that he wants to just like, dude, stop doing this. Like, we're not supposed to be fighting. Like, release them, And it kind of comes from his own quote-unquote weaknesses or whatnot. He's just kind of like, let them go, So I feel like that was cool to understand. I like how Shikamaru's like, nothing's changing now. The only thing that's changed is I can offer you some support and figure out how to defeat Code and these new things that are coming up. So that's about it until you defeat Kawaki or you guys fight it out or whatnot. You know, whatever you need to do. And then I guess like that's what like moves the story forward, is that Shikamaru is under the impression that he's going to be supporting Boruto as the Hokage or the interim Hokage, but he can't fundamentally change how everybody thinks of him, you know, and stuff like that. I also think that the action in this chapter was really good, but it was kind of limited. Like, we didn't really get to see a whole lot, but I did like to see them fight each other. I thought that was really cool. Definitely a collide that was like, Boruto doesn't want to hurt him, and Mitsuki's trying to kill him, so it's like his overwhelming strength needs to be stronger than Mitsuki to stop him and then to keep from killing him. So I thought that was cool. I also liked Mitsuki's hesitation to kill him. Like, he knows, he feels it. Like, I can't kill him. He could be telling the truth. You know, there's something missing. He's right. You know, I liked that. In terms of characters in this chapter, Mitsuki's the star of the show. He's basically like, his whole mentality is shifted by the end of this chapter. He's no longer trying to kill Boruto. He no longer sees Kawaki as his son. He's just kind of like, he gets the update that the 7th Hokage isn't dead. I think that's huge news to him, and it changes him, you know, right then and there. And I think that's really cool. I think that's good. And then Shikamaru gets like a little bit of news from Boruto about Omnipotence, about Kawaki, about his position, about the claw grinds and whatnot, you know what I mean? Just like the threats and the way that they're going to be supporting and working together moving forward. And then I guess we kind of got a little bit of the Shinjus, especially the main one, talking about how he's so curious about life and this world, you know what I mean? He has a lot of questions about it. In terms of like the overall world of Boruto and like what's happening in the village, Shikamaru's supporting Boruto, and that's about it. He has the support of Shikamaru, who has like some sort of evidence or feels that helping Boruto, switching his places with Kawaki, makes sense, and it's gonna work out in that favor. So I think that's a smart way to do it. And then the end of the chapter, obviously with the Shinju declaring that they're gonna go find Naruto Uzumaki, which basically implies that they might show up in the village or attack or go searching for him and bring up all of the questions that Damon was kind of talking about with Kawaki, about how if they start asking questions, people are going to realize that you lied. And I think that's a big part of it. And so overall, I give this chapter a 7.9 out of 10. I thought it was really good action. I thought that the characterization for Mitsuki, kind of like learning more about him and how he changes in this chapter after confronting Boruto, I thought that was really good. I liked Shikamaru learning more from Boruto and how they're going to be working together from now on and moving forward together as like a supporting role with Boruto to fight what they're going to be fighting. I think that's cool. So all of that mixed together, I thought made it a great chapter. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah.